Fayetteville High. Hey guys, this is Pat Jenkins of On the Hill Media and voice of Fayetteville High Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel that's On the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it. And welcome in live. We're here at CMAC Southern Kitchen, located at 2190 MLK Boulevard. It's talking season. It's our Wednesday edition. We do not have the KC Dick Show as normal. Fayetteville went out 2 weeks ago, and we still had something to talk about. Today, we're with my good buddy, Si. He's my right-hand guy in the booth and at all basketball games. Aaron Rags of the Rags Report.
Yes, sir.
By way of On the Hill Media. Yeah. We're going to get into a lot of high school football. 7A finals, 6A finals, 5A finals. We'll talk a little 4A. I mean, just a lot going on. Some of the local teams like Farmington, Greenwood, Bentonville, what will their outlook be? Elkins.
Yeah. A
lot of local teams still yet vying for the gold trophy, and we'll get off into that with Mr. Aaron Rags. Plus, Arkansas. They finally gritted one out.
Mm-hmm.
They gritted one out.
Man. That's
a big time win, 79-76 or 76-73. I'm sorry, over the Miami Hurricanes on the campus of the U. And lastly, National Signing Day. Arkansas seems to have done quite well.
Yeah.
With Sam Pittman's group, and was able to keep him. We'll talk about that. How good do you feel with Arkansas being able to keep most of their signees? And then the Big 12, the college playoff came out. And how do you feel? Alabama, number 11, they'll get in. Some teams kind of snub. We'll talk about that as well, too. But let's get off into it. Last night, Arkansas, 76-73. And guess what? The boogeyman did it. The boogeyman did it. Talk about that, guys. I mean, how big is that for this team that had success their previous two trips against Power 4 teams on the road to be able to grit this one out when you didn't play your best basketball in that first half?
No, I mean, especially. I mean, this is one of those Arkansas special games to where, you got that first half, you started a little slow, you make a little run, and then somehow you still end up down by 12 at halftime. And it felt like it was going to trend that way in the second half. You make a little run, 8 minutes left, you're down by 4, and somehow you lose by 12. Something similar to the Illinois game. And it was just great to see the competitiveness in them and just being able to just work together as a team. I mean, Thero had a crazy – I think it was number 4 on the top 10 last night behind the where he went underneath the goal and dunked it, flushed it home. But Boogie played great. Davis hit a couple of big shots. You got to see Brazil out there. He was wondering where Big Z was, and as soon as I wondered where he was, he came in and splashed a 3 in the corner. So it was just one of those things. Collectively, this team is just going to get better as it goes on. You still got fresh legs out there. A lot of players are coming back from injury.
Right.
I mean, you're only playing 8-9 guys at tops. So those legs still have to continue to get conditioned and. I mean, well into January, February, we might see a completely different team.
How much do you think them being able – because Cal talked about in his press conference last night about being able over the last 2 days on Saturday and Sunday to have his guys be able to scrimmage.
Yeah.
And he felt like there in winning time that those scrimmages, you could kind of tell that they help with the chemistry. Because I think that's all this team is lacking. Having so many guys out for so long, I mean, with a dude coming back, still Nelly working himself back into the fold. I know Trevin had been out. Just it seems to be this team just needs the on the court time together.
Yeah, just any 5-on-5 type of scrimmage, especially with the players that they do have, the quality of players they have over there at U of A now. That should gain more experience and more confidence in each player and the ability to trust each other as they go about these type of games. And you can see that in the second half. no offense to us or Arkansas fans or the Arkansas program in general, but we're so used to, the second half roll around and somehow you lose by 20. I mean, and it's all road games where things like that happen. It don't matter who we playing on the road. It always trended that way. So it's good to see that competitiveness, that eagerness to kind of work together as a team to figure it out. And, even if it's Miami who's having an up and down year, but even then, a road win's a road win.
I mean, and Miami is a good offensive team. I've had a chance to watch maybe a game or two of theirs prior to leading up to this game. They defensively, I thought they probably played their best had their best defensive effort against Arkansas. But I mean, to be able to go on the road, get a very, very quality win. And when you think about it, with the way Arkansas has, they played different styles of teams in their first 8 games.
Yeah.
We're just 8 games in to the season.
Yeah.
I mean, you get on social media, guys, you hear about, I mean, people are just going off the deep end.
Yeah, I saw one Anthony Black was a 5-star. Boogie is only a 3-star. I said, these guys are just getting on here saying whatever. That popped in their minds, man. And shortly after that, Boogie, started to go off in the second half after I read that comment. And it's just like, some guys just need to just temper it down, just be patient. And that's what I was explaining to a couple of my friends when we were talking about the Razorback football season. We beat Tennessee, and we get on this ultra high. And we raise up our expectations when, the writing was on the wall before the season. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how it goes.
Which leads me into Razorback football. Demetrius and I yesterday on the show here live at CMAX Southern Kitchen, located here at 2190 MLK Boulevard on this beautiful Wednesday. It's our Wednesday edition of Talking Season. Some of the topics that we have, and for those that are just tuning in yesterday, and we want to extend these topics as well, how do you feel about Coach Pittman in year 6, that he will be granted a 6th year? I mean, do you feel good about it? Where are you at? Also, too, the portal. What are the portal needs that Arkansas is going to need? I mean, now with signing day concluding, I mean, they were able to retain and keep in the fold most of this class, maybe with a loss of 1 or 2 commitments here in the closing hours. But since they pretty much kept their class intact, if you're Coach Pittman and that staff, what are the needs that you're going to be looking for in the portal? And 2, what bowl game do you want to see Arkansas go to? And our final topic we had was everybody saw that 12-team playoff ranking, and Alabama had a chance. Our deal was, who should make it? Should it have been Alabama, Ole Miss, or South Carolina? What side were you on? I said South Carolina. D, what'd you say?
I said South Carolina due to the win streak that they had. That was impressive 6-game win streak. So that means they were 3-3 with the last time they had lost a football game.
Where you at?
I'm as much as I'm hate to say this.
He's speechless.
He's going to go Alabama.
As much as I'm hate to say this, I got to go Bama because of the head-to-head.
Oh, my goodness.
They beat South Carolina head-to-head. That has to be some type of – that has to play.
But this is the same Alabama that just got hammered. South Carolina went to Oklahoma and hammered them. They hammered Alabama. And I think South Carolina, when you look at it, South Carolina has to be that team in the SEC, guys, that you just don't want to play with the emergence of that freshman quarterback.
But if you're giving credence to head-to-head and other aspects of the 12 teams, then you got to give it to them. Granted, I don't think Alabama should be 11.
That's true.
But you really got a group of teams that you really can't really – you can intersect here and there. You got Iowa State and Arizona State kind of in that little jumble. Then you got Miami who was just like unraveled the last 2-3 weeks. You still got Ole Miss who is right there, but also, Ole Miss can also do what they did at Florida.
Now I got another question.
It's kind of weird. It's a weird little middle pack at that 11th spot, I think.
When you look at teams like Boise State, Penn State, Ohio State, teams that play in the cold weather, Notre Dame comes to mind. How much of a factor do you think that's going to play into this playoff? Or, I know you might not be able to see the effects this year, but in years to come, how big do you think that type of stuff?
Well, it won't. I don't think it'll really matter unless you play in that first round game.
Right.
Now, one thing I do think is somewhat unfair is the treatment of Notre Dame, and it won't really matter whether or not they are great all the way, or 11-1, or 12-10, or 2-10, or not 2-10, but 10-2. Like, it won't really matter because they won't ever really get a first four.
Yeah.
So they'll always be as high as 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, they'll always get to host a first round game, but for them, like even right now, they're number 4 in the AP poll, and they won't even get.
I got a quick question about Notre Dame. What conference did they commit to?
That's true.
Notre Dame just.
I mean, they play. They like on the outside.
Right. But if it boils down
like,
to conference championship, who do they play?
Yeah.
Who do they play?
See, I think they have some built-in situations for some of these blue bloods like Alabama and Notre Dame and the Penn States and maybe the LSUs and Ohio States and Michigans. I think if they have the slightest bit of a chance to get in the playoff, there's going to be some manipulation.
Oh, it's a money game.
Yeah.
And, these teams are going to make it. Yeah, right. Who doesn't want to see Jalen Milroe in the playoff?
Well, and we got to look at these fan bases.
Yes.
Who's going to sell tickets and who's going to travel? If these games aren't location based and home based, and there are going to be bowl game based or however they decide to do these playoffs. Who's going to travel and sell these tickets to these venues?
I did like the matchups though. Some of the matchups they had were like,
this is going to be an
crazy.
exceptional.
Granted to see the projecting right now with SMU being 3 and Boise State being 4.
My thing is how good do you see teams like Boise State? Are they good or are they good based
SMU
upon?
May shock a lot.
Are they good upon?
I really think so.
Could SMU hold up in SEC schedule week in and week out? Could
Probably
Boise
not,
hold up week in, week
out?
out?
Not week in, week out.
See,
but
if
if you're giving me game to game, give me game to game, possibly.
Because I'm still I'm not saying Boise doesn't belong there, but to me, their strength of schedule still, and I'm glad the running back's up for the Heisman. Kudos to him. But again, it goes back to saying, a lot of people are saying Travis doesn't deserve it due to, but it's like look at the and this is no disrespect. Look at the competition that he's playing week in and week out. It's not top tier, and it's not to take away from him because I still think he's an exceptional running back. I still think he can have a Derrick Henry-like career in the NFL. But if you're asking me if he's the top player in college football based upon his competition,
who was the last two-way player to get the Heisman? Anybody know that?
Yeah, Howard.
There you go.
Woodson. I said Howard. I was thinking Desmond Howard.
Last time Michigan shared a championship with
Well, hey, if you are listening to today's show and you come in here at our location, 2190 MLK, or the location 7420 West Sunset Avenue, and you say you heard this advertisement on the Hill Media, they will honor the 25% discount. Just go in there and say that you heard it on the Hill Media, and they'll get you taken care of. And I trust me, it's made Southern at heart, and it is just that good.
Trust me, I just had the D special and it's gone. I had the D special and it's gone.
Hey, we're gonna be right back. We're live here at C-Mac Southern Kitchen. It's on the Hill Media. Hey guys, this is Pat Jenkins of On the Hill Media and voice of Fayetteville High Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's On the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it. And welcome back live here at 2190 MLK Boulevard. We're live here at C-Mac Southern Kitchen where they make it Southern at heart. And, yes, it is just that good. Lots of good food, great atmosphere. Come on down, see DeChrista. She is, I'm telling you, the best GM and maybe the top cook. I'm just going to go and put it out there. The top cook in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay. All right.
I'm just going to go and put it out there.
Go.
Come in and taste it. You will be back, I'm telling you. And if you heard this, just come in and at the 2190 MLK or 7420 in West Sunset in Tawnytown. Let them know you heard this advertisement on the Hill Media, and it was 25% off of your meal, and they'll definitely get you taken care of. But time to get off into it. We're just a little bit over 48 hours and some change from Arkansas high school football reconvening with. On Friday night, we've got the 5A state championship, Parkview and Farmington, and we got to get our guy.
Yeah.
He does a great job, has for the last 2 years of the Rags Report, which on the Hill Media. Aaron.
Yeah, man. It's man. I tell you, after last weekend and the way I was moving and watching all, I pretty much watched every single semifinal game last week is ones that I could catch. And I mean, it was just you had to go back and forth to one with Farmington and Lakeside, which was crazy. that entire game was crazy. And when you thought Lakeside took control of that game, they were up by 18 going into the fourth quarter. And Farmington just stormed back, recovered 2 offside kicks, and scored 2 touchdowns in under a minute to actually win that game.
Right.
And they sealed it with their 3rd straight interception in the playoffs.
When you watch that game, Aaron, I mean, the 2 onside kicks, Farmington puts up 44 points in the second half, being down 21 at one point. It's going back and forth. Like you said, 2 minutes, they're down 10, and all of a sudden they go down and score real quick, which, I mean, Lester, that guy is a hell of a quarterback.
Man, and when you have your team to embody your quarterback play and his grittiness, and I mean, every time he got knocked down, he got back up quickly. He was almost the first person in the huddle. He was just really motivating his guys out there. I mean, he would break off a long 20, 30-yard run and come back and throw a 30-yard pass, and it was crazy just to see because there was times in that game where Lakeside offense looked unstoppable.
Yes, they did.
And really it came up to that defense just getting that one little stop that they needed.
And big shout-out to Coach Tommy Tice.
I
mean, he came in his first year and his team to the state championship. But
you can't beat that.
He's one of the GOATs in this business.
Yeah,
and one of the good guys.
He's surrounding himself with a lot of great coaches that know the area that were really at a point in their career where some of them were leaning towards going another way. There's another coach on that staff, Coach Harrelson, that was my offensive coordinator at Fayetteville back in the days.
A great
I can remember.
coordinator.
Oh man, I can remember talking to Coach Harrelson a few years ago at one of my jobs, and he was about to hang him up, and we were just having a good talk, just being able to see each other, and just to see him on that sideline, as happy as he was 20 years ago. It's a beautiful thing to see, and I always keep up with Miss Janet and Miss Kayla down there, and I get to talk to them on Facebook and everything. So it's just a beautiful thing to see what Coach Tice and all those guys have done at Farmington.
When you look at 4A, Aaron, and this is where it throws me off how the number 1 team has to go on the road. But when you also look at it, all 4 of these teams were number 1 seeds in their conference coming out.
Yeah, well, I did get some clarification on that, is that they rotate, since they have 4 different actual kind of divisions within that conference, they kind of rotate the buys and things like that. So those things just kind of happen. And we really almost can interchange Southside, Mills, and Elkins. They're all undefeated. They all bring a different type of feel to the game. I mean, Elkins and Mills are both a track meet.
That's going to be
that game
one game that if
might
I
be
have
one
some
of the
time,
games of Arkansas.
I'm going to try to get an update on that.
And I'll tell you right now, Coach Cortez Lee down there, what they call it, XE3. I got a bunch of people on Facebook that I know that actually I grew up with or knew from Pine Bluff that kids are actually going to Mills or have a lot of family or different type of things like that at Mills, and they've really been able to kind of grow that program over the last couple of years. And with them moving down into the 4A, it kind of helps their ability to kind of make it to the championship game.
Good point.
But Elkins is another one of those programs, just like Little Rock Mills, that's over the last couple of years they've just been slowly building.
And
it's just crazy that this is a semifinal game.
You love this in the area, and that Fayetteville last year had some success. And when you just go up MLK and you talk about Elkins, Fayetteville, and Farmington, what those 3 high school programs have been able to do over the last 2 football seasons.
It's crazy. It hadn't been seen up here.
And we're not even talking about 7A. Bentonville's going into state championship number 3 in a row. Let's get off into that.
Well, see what that's 7A. And then just before we get in it, and you just talk about the area of high school football up here. You had Shiloh. You had the resurgence of Springdale.
Greenwood, you would consider regional.
Yeah. Bentonville. Even Rogers, the success Rogers has had over the last couple of years. I mean, this area is starting to blossom really much, and I think in the next 2-3 years, you're gonna want to we might have to move the state championship games up here because it may live up here after the next few years. But to dive into the 7A, you got Bentonville and Bryant. I'm leaning
Saturday night at 6:30. By the way, the championship game with Farmington and Parkview will be Friday night at 6:30 p.m. So if you're not doing anything, tune in and watch the Fighting Cardinals as they try to do something to shock the state of Arkansas.
They're doing it big at Farmington.
Yes,
I think they got a big pep rally on Thursday night. They're closing down school about 1:30 on Friday night.
Probably going to eat C-Max on the way down or something.
Look, they better eat C-Max all this week. I saw the deal that they're giving those Farmington players this week. I need to see if I can slide in here with a Farmington jersey.
Bentonville, Bryant. And it just seems like, Aaron, if you're in the 7A West, and what has been proved to us in the booth over the last few years, if you win that Bentonville-Fayetteville game, you're probably going to be the team that represents in the state championship.
You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that home field advantage.
Outside of last year, where Bentonville was able to go to Bryant and upset.
That usually don't happen.
Right.
But also this game here is sort of to exact some revenge on both sides, with Bryant losing last year and missing the opportunity to go to another consecutive state title game. But also for Bentonville, I mean, this season kind of comes full circle. They started 0-3. They lost to Conway. They were able to beat Conway. They lost, twice to Fayetteville last year. They were able to beat Fayetteville at home.
They were helped to beat Cat, but we won't get off into that.
We've talked about that part, man.
The management, the way that game ended last Friday night.
That was another game that I was flipping back and forth, too.
But you know what, Aaron? Think about Conway, and we'll get back on subject. But just think, we've had front row seat. I know me and Demetrius has. The year of Isaiah Satania, where Conway's got the lead, Fayetteville no timeouts, they throw the ball, Braylon Palmer end up picking it off, Fayetteville goes down and gets the winning field goal. And then last year, I mean, think about how that game ended.
Going back and forth, and then they kicked the
one kick.
Yeah, and then the game just kind of ended confusingly, and Fayetteville won, which was the most important part. But just these little
glitches,
late game clock glitches, and like just kind of real bad kind of just thought process going through. Like, they had every opportunity to let that clock run.
They did,
and just ultimately punt the ball away.
What would you have done?
I'm punting.
No, what would you have done, D? No timeouts for Bentonville.
You show me you can go from the 20.
Balls on the Bentonville 46-yard line at the time.
I'm pretty sure I can punt the ball 20 to 25 yards, get them within the 15.
Kick that thing out of bounds.
Like, Bentonville really hadn't just exploded on offense that night anyway.
No.
So you put your defense out there with no more than about 40 seconds left.
Right.
Even before all of this, the Bentonville announcer was saying, Bentonville may get the ball back with about 20 seconds left if Conway did the right thing. But Conway called a timeout. Oh, my goodness. Called a timeout before fourth down to stop the clock.
2-yard play.
Yeah, to run a 2-yard quarterback draw and give Bentonville the ball back on Bentonville's 40.
No timeout.
And it's like
and then to top it off, ran the same play back-to-back. Ran the same play, back-to-back plays, and unfortunately, the D-back whiffs, and there's a 25-yard run. And, I mean, once he missed that tackle.
Once he missed the tackle, it was over.
On to
I do want to ask y'all a question. Just it's on the topic of National Signing Day and specifically Arkansas high school football. What did you guys think about the top athletes signing and where they decided to sign to, and then where do you all see how that impacted how Arkansas is perceived on a national level?
I think a lot of people are going to perceive that like Arkansas really didn't recruit the kids, because that seems to be the general feeling when our in-state kid goes elsewhere, that Arkansas didn't want them or recruit them hard enough. And 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. I know in these 3 young men that did go outside the state, made multiple visits to the University of Arkansas. Arkansas put in a lot of time, particularly Curious Kern, who signed with LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, he was previously committed to Arkansas.
Yeah. He put in a lot of time in Arkansas.
There were some situations that went on, and he ended up going to LSU. Nothing on Arkansas' side was bad, so don't take what I said when I said situations. I'm not trying to say that Arkansas had dirty play going on in any situation. But my general thing is, how many of these kids that's left the state of Arkansas during Sam's tenure have went to other schools and made an impact? Crutchfield, did he play last year?
No, he didn't play this year.
Did the linebacker, play Huff?
Huff played it a little bit.
Walker White get in any time?
Well, this is one thing I will say about it that I've seen, and I guess it's my experience of being able to grow up in southern Arkansas and also live in northwest Arkansas. Is ever since Houston, there's been this disconnect with part of the state.
Right.
And a lot of the times, a lot of our top athletes are coming from the southern or the eastern part of the state. A lot of those players don't have the same regard for the Razorbacks as you know, most kids around this area would. I mean, some of them do get the opportunity to come up here, you know, get recruited by Arkansas, but they'll spend the majority of their life not necessarily not knowing about the Razorbacks, but not ever having an opportunity to even be in the area to be where the Razorbacks is.
Right.
And one thing I did think with Razorback recruiting, even though it's just basketball, with Calipari kind of taking the Hogs traveling, going to Pine Bluff, you know, going to the eastern part of the state, doing these little scrimmages, stuff like that, you actually being able to have that spotlight on Arkansas and actually build a bridge to the university, to these other areas in Arkansas that aren't as well impoverished or aren't as, you know what I mean?
That.
So my thing is, how do you go about fixing that? Do you do more camps around the state of Arkansas? Because it's not like you can bring your whole team and do a tour of practices around. I think you should. As far as football, you need to do more satellite camps. Yeah. You go to these certain areas, you know, where these coaches you have, where, you know, Forest City, you got Swinton down there as the head coach at Forest City, who's an Arkansas product. You know, you got, you know, Marcus Britt, who is a Forest City head coach of basketball. That's already one, two coaches that played at Arkansas that you can go down in Forest City on the eastern part. You can bring those kids from OCO. You can bring those kids from Jonesboro down to Forest City, Marion, things like that. Even the Bridges in Little Rock. I mean, you got a nice crop of new coaches in Little Rock, especially basketball and football. That's you can start
the one area I think that really has to improve in the development of high school football players. Is that Central Arkansas area? It just seems to me
for me, it's not the actual
athletic.
It's not the athletic department. It's more of the actual school districts.
Yes,
that having the issues as far as, because most people are not wanting to deal with it. They'll either homeschool or send their kid to Bryant or Benton. But we're not going to get into that. We're not even going to get all in
let's segue off into our 6A state championship between Shiloh and the Greenwood Bulldogs. Now, Shiloh and Greenwood, conference rivals, played earlier in the year. Pretty close game for, you know, the most part. Greenwood did eventually move out and take that game with the big dub. But how do you think this game is going to play out with both teams knowing so much? I mean, there's really not anything that's going to be a surprise.
No, there's nothing. I mean, they've seen each other over the last few years. Right. You know what I mean? Back and forth. You know, I can say I commend the job that Shiloh has done the last 2 years. You're going to be – I mean, I'm sorry, all the Shiloh fans out there. You're going to be another state runner-up. this year in the 6A. I apologize for telling you this right now, if you didn't already know. But for them to go into Pine Bluff last year in the semifinals and actually go down there and beat them, and then actually to go down to an undefeated Benton squad and beat them on the road, and the way that they did with their running game and being able to kind of play into a sloppy, rainy game that it was, and moving up a whole classification and making it to the state championship is an achievement within itself.
Good point.
I do think they will keep it close as they can, but Greenwood's playing. They're playing for a lot more.
So here we go. Let's get the picks in, guys. First is 7A, Bentonville or Bryant.
Bryant.
I gotta go Bryant.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the Hornets. I think they missed last year and they didn't like it, so they're going to get the state championship back and get 6 of the last 7 and stay undefeated.
Bentonville looking like your Buffalo Bills, did
Hey, let me tell you something. That's for tomorrow's show. We get off into that. We know who the best team in the AFC
Oh my
is.
God.
6A matchup: the Bulldogs of Greenwood and the Saints of Shiloh Christian.
Greenwood all the way.
I'm take the Bulldogs. Just for they're playing I agree with Aaron. They're playing for something so much bigger than themselves. I don't see how they get stopped on Friday
I
night.
agree. And the quarterback hit it. Everybody's raving about that.
You saw Cash committed to UCA.
Yes, I
did.
did.
I saw that.
The 5A state championship, 6:30 Friday night, War Memorial Stadium. The Parkview Patriots trying to go for a three-peat, and the Farmington Cardinals, the team of destiny, like the Cardiac Kids, that just won't stop moving. How we doing that one?
I'm doing it, Pat. Farmington Cardinals. Give me Farmington. Give me Farmington. Give me the quarterback Lester. They're gonna score about 45. I'm probably gonna eat my words because I thought the Valley View was gonna give Little Rock Parkview a little run for their money, and it was over by the end of the middle of the first quarter.
Where you going, D?
Hey, man. I know people don't like that view sometimes, but, I think that yellow brick road done ran out for Arlington, because they had some exceptional football guys helping them out last week.
Yes.
I'm changing. I'm going
I don't know if they're gonna have that much grace and mercy this week.
I'm gonna go with P-View. I think Parkview, too many athletes.
Yeah.
When you're playing for a three-peat and you've had just today 4 or 5 young men signed to play D1 football, and they were on both sides of the ball.
That's something special
hey,
right there.
Coach Bolden's got something special going on at Parkview.
No,
so
remind me of Friday Night Lights where
the Patriots get it.
Where the Premier was playing.
Yeah. Let's get off into the 4A semifinal matchups as they're just a week away from picking their state championship participants. Southside and Arkadelphia, where we at with that?
Man, Southside, they're undefeated. They've been playing great all year long. They're one of those teams in Arkansas that's kind of steadily starting to kind of improve more and more each year, becoming a household name in the 4A. But Arkadelphia is one of those teams that they're traditionally there.
Yeah.
They're always there. So I'm going Arkadelphia with them being at home.
Okay,
I'm
that's
going
good.
to go Arkadelphia.
D, where you at?
Man, I got to go tradition, man. I'm not very familiar with Arkansas football, but I am very familiar with Arkadelphia. And my family has a long line of attendees at Arkadelphia, so I'm gonna go Arkadelphia.
I'm going to stay with the Badgers as well. I think they just get it done. When you've done it before, and this class has watched classes prior to them do it, it has been showed the way. There's kind of been a culture set around Arkadelphia high school football. That they really start playing when it's playoff time. So I'm going to take Arkadelphia to give Southside its only loss and send Arkadelphia to Little Rock to play Elkins or Mills. Where we at?
Yeah, this is a game. This right here is one I circled in the
maybe
beginning
the
of the season, man. Like, this is one of those games that's probably going to be one of the games people talk about the rest of the year.
Right.
With Elkins going down to visit Exit 3. And I'm on the fence about it just because it's tough going down there.
Yeah.
Once you get down in that area and you get off of Exit 3, once you get off of Exit 3 and you ain't from down there, you're going to be looking like, where's the school? Where we playing at? But I do think the Elks will go down there to Little Rock Mills, and I think they get it done. I think they get it done this week. It's going to be an extremely close game. I'm talking about last team that has the ball may win the game. But I'm going to go with Elkins.
Demetrius?
I'll put it like this. The entire scenery is different when you get down there.
Once you get off of exit 3.
Let alone exit 3. It look mighty different down there. And it might have you shook that first half. So I think it's going to be one of those games where the first half is going to really determine who can jump out in front, and whoever can jump out in front is going to win. But I'm going to have to give it to Mills. I think they probably have a couple more athletes than Elkins, and I think that's the deciding factor within that game.
Mills got a freshman quarterback.
Whoa.
Real good one.
I'm going to go with the Elks. I think they got their semifinals and just came up a little bit short. But the good thing about Elkins is in the fact that they brought back a lot of those guys that felt what they felt walking off that field in the semifinal matchup.
Is a
real special.
Player, man.
I think Elkin keeps it going, and then they get to the state championship to play Arkadelphia. A week from, I don't know if there was a Friday or Saturday, but we'll just say a week from Friday.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. Yeah. But we're going to say Elkins and Arkadelphia advance. And, hey, that's going to wrap it up today. We're going to be back tomorrow. You going to be here tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow.
Hey, we're going to really get off into it. We'll take calls. Tell us what you think. Go and check out Arkansas signing class because we're going to get even more in depth. Demetrius and I, we're going to try to have – I know they got a Pittman press conference coming up to talk about today's really good day. That class – hey, you heard me say this. Pat Jenkins said on the Hill Media December 4th at CMAX.
Oh, man.
This defensive line over the next 4 years, when we go back and look at this group of kids, you're going to have at least 3 guys get drafted when they come out after their junior year.
I'll take that. I thought
3 of those kids will not be here their senior year.
I'll take that, Pat. I thought you was going to go say something else. I take that prediction. I thought you was about to predict something else. So with that prediction being said, I can agree with that.
Hey, also, I'll make another prediction. If you come to the location at 2190 MLK Boulevard or you show up at 7420 West Sunset Avenue location of CMAX and tell them you heard it on the Hill Media, 25% off of your meal. If you just mentioned you heard it on OTH, they'll take care of you. That's
also
another
prediction. The Farmington thing they got going on this week.
Yes, also, if you're Shiloh or Farmington parent or student and you make your way in, 15% off of your meal if you just mention the advertisement. But, hey, I'm going to thank my boy Demetrius Johnson, Aaron Rags of the Rags Report. We want to thank Lindsay and Associates. We want to thank Fayetteville Glass. We want to thank First Choice Protection Systems. And we want to thank our good girl over here, the general manager, the big dog here at 2190, the best cook there is, DeChrista. Come in, check her out, get her numbers up, and show them why this is the best CMAX in Northwest Arkansas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, we're going to get out of here, but we'll be back tomorrow. It's been talking season on the Hill Media, and you know what my last words are. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. We got to get on the camera next time.